Hey, how's it going? Jason here, and today I'm going to repot this Literati Bonsai I have right here. So the first thing I got to do is take this out of the can and remove all the soil. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this out of the can right now. We're going to remove all the soil and try to spread out the roots so we can fit it in one of these pots. I got two of them right here. I've got this one and this one. We're going to see which one matches better, and we're going to go with it. Alright, so here's an interesting thing. I noticed that this juniper wasn't doing too good, and it wasn't because we cut it back when we did the styling, but it has to do with the soil mix we have inside. So let's take a look inside this can. This is pretty old soil in there. Can't really tell. If I take out a little bit, let me get a shovel. If I could take out a little bit here, right here, right there, you guys can see how it's almost like mud. There's no aggregate in there at all. So it's basically just clumping together, and the roots only went halfway, and that's because of this horrible soil mix that it's in. So by doing this repot right now, it's going to be a huge difference in how this tree starts to perform or how it starts to grow. So I'm going to just go ahead and chuck that. Right, so now I've got just the tree. Half of it's gone. So I'm going to move the shovel, get my little stick here, my repotting stick right here. I'm going to start working on it. Now what I'm doing is I'm spreading out the roots out. I'm not like stabbing it and just kind of cutting, digging in. Wow, the root structure on this is not great, and that's because of the soil. So we've got to get rid of this into good soil right away. That, and move it closer so you guys can see. So I'm just using the stick to spread out the roots. See how these roots right here? I'm going to trim some of them, but I got to go from the inside out and sort of separate them. Not tearing away, because I don't have that many roots on this tree. So I've got to just kind of use the stick to separate them. And you see all this mud? That's not good for the tree, so we gotta get in here and fix this right away. So I styled this tree last year, and I was like, why isn't it doing so well? I've getting buds here, getting buds here. And it has nothing to do with how much I cut, but it has to do with the soil mix and how well the roots are growing. And in this case, it's not growing that great just because of the soil mix. So that's why we're going in here and cleaning this up and switching it to something nice. And then we're going to see this tree bounce back fast. All right, so now I'm going to do a little bit of root pruning here. Everybody should have one shear that they use for doing the root pruning. And you want to cut that back just to get the growth, promote the growth, and some more hair roots to grow out from the parts that you cut it. It works just like branches. Just imagine the roots just work like branches. It's just underneath the soil. I don't have any big tap roots here, so let's go fit this pot pretty nice, so I don't need to pull out the root cutter. But everybody should have a shear that they don't mind getting dirty and sort of using for sort of all-purpose stuff like this. And the reason is because, you know, if you go in here with good shears, you happen to hit a rock, that's going to damage your shear. So it's good to have, you know, one pair of sort of all-purpose ones or shears that you're willing to you know, they will get damaged a little bit, so ones that you can replace easily. So if you look closely at some foliage, like right here, you know, I got some yellow here. I got a whole bunch of buds up at the top. I'm doing great because the apex always does fantastic. But I wasn't getting, I got some new buds here. I got some new buds, but my pads weren't developing well. Now I know why. Right, so now I've got my tree prepped there. I've trimmed some of the roots. Now I've got to choose a pot. So I got this one. I've got this one. So what you can do when you're choosing a pot is just place the tree in there. You know, do something like this, see if it looks good in there. You know, take a look at it, take a look from far away. It's a Literati, so I'm going to be choosing a round pot, like this one. It's going to be a round pot. And we'll kind of bring one up, bring up the other, you know, like that. And if you've got a really big tree, you know, and you're really scared about getting those roots to dry out, and you can't prepare a pot as quick, you know, that quick, it's a good idea to prepare that pot before you start to remove the soil. But today, you know, it's a nice cool day. It's not sunny, it's nice and overcast. It's a perfect day for repotting, actually. So I'm not too worried, so I'm gonna prep that. I'm gonna prep the pot really quick. If you're not sure how, I've got a video on it. Watch the how to repot a bonsai. That one goes over how to prepare the pot. So I'm gonna do that really quick and I'll show you when it's done. So I've got the two pots prepped. Got this one and this one. You can put them up. It's always good to prep two. I kind of knew I was already going to choose this one, and the reason is because this one, you know, the Literati, you know, it's elegant, it's kind of soft, it's flowing, For this one, it had this really thick lip. Put this down. This really thick lip right here. Too thick, it overpowers the trunk on this tree because the trunk is so slender. So I'm going for something a little bit more soft, and this one tapers a little bit better toward the base. So this is the pot I'm going to end up going with. Got my akadama mix right here. Put that in the middle. So a nice mound in the middle. Okay, simple as that. And take my tree and place it in the middle and position it. Now, in the literati, or in a round pot I should say, you gotta make sure you pay attention where the feet are going to be. So if you're looking at this pot with the feet right here, right there, and right here, make sure that your tree, the front, is either going to be in the center here or on the center with the foot. Okay, so either on the foot, middle, or in between the feet. Alright, so I'm going to position this tree like this. I prefer this tree to be in between the feet, so I'm going to wire this in and fill in the soil. For this tree, I really wanted it to lean forward more than it was before, or at least I really wanted to lean forward in the pot. So, and there wasn't much. If you remember when we positioned it, it was already leaning quite a lot. So I didn't have a soil or roots on this side. So I really have to position it forward, and I'm using the stick to push that in underneath. Make sure you get underneath the roots to secure it so it doesn't fall backwards. I've also created a net with 3 wires I did here, 1, 2, 3. These ones right here. And what I did was I created a net so that I would hold that in place. So if I pull on the tree, it'll take the pot with it. And then I'm using the stick to make sure I'm finding air pockets to make sure that spot right there doesn't fall back, and it's got good solid, it's got soil right in the gaps there to make sure that the roots can flow, or the roots can grow through there, because that's where I need it to develop. All right, so I've got this position in there. I'm going to tighten the wire, do one final check. Got the front right there, and the fronts go right there, and it's right, the front, I've got it so the feet are on both sides, it's not off center, the front's right directly in the middle. Alright, so I'm going to fill in the soil and tighten the wire. And you guys have noticed at this point I've got a lot of roots there that are sticking out on the side, and I had some questions asking what to do with those. Well, the solution is to cut them. You don't want those sticking out. If you do this right, and you do this at the right time of the year, this won't make a difference on the tree. Those roots are going to continue to grow. They're just going to grow down the other side, down. So the roots are going to grow where it's not going to dry them out. Obviously, it's not going to come up this way. It's going to go into the soil. So you can trim those off. Any of the roots that are exposed to, the elements will eventually dry out anyways. With the excess wire, like that. Then as you can see, now I just got to fill in the soil. So I got my little scoop right here. I'm gonna fill it in. Just fill in a little bit, don't fill it over to the rim yet. You want to use your stick right here. Make sure you're finding all the air pockets. And I'm poking in here diagonally to make sure I find the air pockets, because you'll see if you have an air pocket, the stick will just kind of go in. See right here, I've got a spot where the soil is just falling in there. That's a spot that I gotta make sure I put the lava rock in the akadama, make sure that's filling in there. And as you do this, as you find more air pockets, this trunk here will get more and more secure. So just keep going diagonally along the base. So take your time during this process, wiggle the tree a little bit. You can see how it's not wiggling much. As you get more and more of the air pockets filled, it won't wiggle at all. Another reason we use a stick is just because if you try to use your fingers here, you can go hurt your fingers. So that's what this is for. It's a little tricky. If it's wobbling this way, say left and right from where you are, then it's on the sides there. So make sure you find the air pockets on the sides. If it's rotating this way, if it's wiggling back and forth like this, then it's going to be in front of you or in back of you. Alright, and that's pretty much it. Let the tree, I'm going to water the tree, make sure I, get rid of all the fines in there, give it a nice run under the water. And then the foliage up here is going to start to bounce back. I've actually got one that's already starting here. I need a wire. So we're going to set it aside. Doesn't look like that much right now because I still have to wire this. We did that first styling before, so it's time to do the second styling. But what I'm going to do is let this get established in here for a little bit, and I'm going to go back after maybe about 2 months, and we'll finish wiring it. And by then I should have buds all over here, filling the crown really nice. And then I'll do follow up So thanks for watching. Hopefully you got an idea of how to position, how to, what kind of type of pot to use for a Literati style tree. And also if you've got the roots coming up, what to do, in the scenario like that. Basically you've got to cut it. You've got to cut it, and you've got to make sure that you're directing the roots onto the other side. And then I'm looking forward to the growth that I'm going to get once it's in this good soil mix, because that mud that I was in earlier was was basically impeding the growth of this tree. So with the new soil mix right here, this tree should take off. And so if the video was helpful, give me a like and subscribe if you'd like to see some more videos. Otherwise, thanks for watching.